So, good evening. We are back months after the last appearance. It seems like it's been forever, lads. 22nd of May, I think, was the last time we did a show, all three of us. It's been a while, man. How you been, Jez? How's your summer been?
Brilliant. Excellent. Weather's been crap, but there we go. Yeah, missed doing these shows, to be fair. It's something to look forward to on 5 o'clock on a Monday evening. And can't wait for the season to start this Saturday for Arsenal. Really buzzing for it. And can't wait, man.
What about you, Kenny? I see you dancing. You're at a festival. Then you're at Wembley. You're gallivanting this summer.
It's you know what? Us for the first part of the post football season, all I've been doing, as Jez will know, watching cricket. I've just been watching cricket, like the Ashes, and like I'm trying to get into the hundreds. So I've been concentrating on that. I've watched the odd bit of the women's World Cup, but I don't think it's grabbed my attention like the World Cup in Qatar. But weekend's brilliant. Went to Abashanti. He's does a bit of reggae, Rastafari music, and then of course I was at the Community Shield yesterday. Packed. I've never seen it so packed for a Community Shield. 81,000 fans. Obviously we had the majority of the fans, but it was a good day out. But my conclusion to what I've just said is that it just shows that your complexion of football match changes after a deflected fluke goals in. This podcast would have been different if that opportunistic goal didn't go in. And confirm that, because come out of the ground, the analysis was spot on. And then when I've looked at how other people viewed it, you would have thought we played out of skins yesterday.
Yeah, very interesting. Let me start with you, Kenny. Big up to nearly 400 in here. Make sure you smash the like button up. Sub to Kenny. Follow Kenny on Instagram and sub to JEZ'S channel. Have you hit 4K yet?
Not far. I've got 60 to go.
Come on, 60 people.
Come on, guys.
By the end of this show, you better be on 4K. Come on. But yeah, let's start with you, Kenny. Obviously, you was at the ground. You were we had the majority of the ground because they boycotted because they couldn't get a train back. Yeah, the last train from Euston apparently left at 9 p.m., which is why they kicked off. It was supposed to be our 5 kickoff. They kicked off and got the game brought forward. And then half of them didn't even bother going out of protest. But obviously, it was a sea of red. It wasn't the greatest of viewing. It was you could tell it was two teams that were in pre-season. They weren't the top like they were last season. Like it weren't like peak Man City, peak Arsenal of last season. It was a little bit bitty, a little bit sloppy at times, a little bit of quality as well in there. But we had some players on their debuts, competitive debuts. Kai Havertz. Obviously Timber as well, and Declan Rice, all three of them started. And obviously we had our normal centre-back pairing, the goalkeeper as well. It was pretty much the closest thing to our starting 11 without JEZ'S and maybe Zinchenko in there. Other than that, it was pretty much our starting 11. But what did you think of the game? Because you said to me that after Palmer scored, quite a lot of our fans left. And when I spoke to my friend today, one of his mates was at the game and he left after that goal as well. And I was like, that's baffling, man. Like, you pay all that dough. It's the first game of the season and you leave before the game. I don't understand. I've never understood why people leave the ground early.
People do that. I remember, first and foremost, my advice that if it's a nice summer day and it's scorching hot and the sun's blazing, don't go behind the goal because the sun gets right in your face. To the extent that you've got to be doing that most of the game. But I managed to get a good view. Some people were stupid enough to go and look at a screen. I felt like saying to them, if you're looking at a screen, you might as well be at home watching it. But it's true. But I can confirm what you said. So a lot of the stewards and police who basically get you in queues to get to the tube stations afterwards. They were confirming that there was few Arsenal fans who left early because they thought it was game over after 5 minutes before the end. So they missed a penalty shootout. But in terms of the game itself, I have to say, honestly, from what I saw, first half an hour, Man City were just bossing the game, absolutely bossing the game. And then we got those couple of chances with Havertz and came back into it. In the second half, I thought it was, as you said, it's very bitty. But the quality still came from Man City. You know, even you think about it, they substitute Haaland, bring on Cole Palmer, and then they bring on De Bruyne, who I didn't even know was, I was on the bench because I just got in and didn't even pay attention to their lineup. But if you look at the game itself, I stand by what I say. It took a deflection to change the whole complexion of the game, because if we had lost that game, fans would have been complaining, that have been having a different observation. And that's factual. There were people alongside me when the goal went in, having a go at Kieran Tierney. That's just facts. They were blasting him. The guy next to me was saying, "No wonder, we want to get rid of him. I can't believe that, no club's coming for him. That's why no club's coming for him." This is Kieran Tierney that they sing songs about. This is honest appraisal during the match. So if you want an honest appraisal of a football match, be at the ground or film yourselves watching the games wherever you are, because the simple reason is that you can't lie about your emotions. I think there's a lot of rewriting history, but there are some positives. Aaron Ramsdale, showed why he's a very good shot stopper. He made some fantastic saves, especially in the second half when Man City could have got two up, and he made a good save of the header from save a header from who is it again?
John Stones.
Get back to me. Yeah, Stones. That's right. John Stones, brilliant header. But there was parts of the first half and parts of the second half where you got the feeling why Mick Arteta is looking at Raya, because on the ball, with the ball at feet, he's better off kicking it long, because when he tries to pass out the back, he's no good, man. He showed in those small instances why Mick Arteta was looking elsewhere. But there was the positives was his performance. I thought Saka and Martinelli were quiet. Declan Rice worked his nuts off, but you could tell that he needs to learn about our style of play and learn about his teammates. Thomas Partey made the odd mistake here and there, but overall solid. I think he got turned for the goal from Foden. But, I thought that, it was an okay performance for him. But the guy that, as you said, really, really impressed was Timber. Everyone talks about when Zinchenko get back in the side. But if he's of the volition that we have a right back in Benjamin White, then obviously the temptation is to replace him with Timber. But on that performance, I think it'd be very hard for Zinchenko to get back into that team, because one thing he can do is that he can pass the ball like Zinchenko, he can invert like Zinchenko, and he can defend. Mm. Now, if you've got those qualities, the only thing that Zinchenko has probably got an advantage over the player is that he's a genuine left-footed player. But apart from that, he can do the same things that Zinchenko can do. He can link the play from a midfield position, and he can defend, get back to position, and he can't be overlapped. So that's a very, very interesting prospect. I was against it, because I didn't pay attention to what the good things you guys and a lot of people were saying about him at left back, because I was just being stubborn, because I was thinking, no, he's got to play right, because we need to have Zinchenko and Tierney in there. But I could tell you categorically now what I've learned for the Community Shield. Tierney's finished here, not because of the mistake that led to the goal. It's the whole way we're playing, the inversion and everything. He just doesn't fit in, Jez. No. I'm sorry to say, he just don't fit in. I can't see a place for him in our first team. Another player who's gone is Balogun, because if you look at the celebrations afterwards, every first team player was there except for him. Mm. And these are players who weren't even part of the squad. I saw Jorginho there, I saw Nini there, I saw Rob Holding there, I saw Reece Nelson there. I saw loads of players who were not involved at the ground except for him. That speaks volumes.
Totally agree, mate. Listen, I thought Timber was fantastic. I was baffled he subbed him off. I couldn't believe it. And the thing is, I think it was you I said it to yesterday, Jez. Like Timber, and listen, I don't want to get carried away. We've only seen him play a couple of games, but I said it to you. I think he is what Arsenal fans think Zinchenko is.
Yeah.
Like, he's comfortable on the ball, sick in possession, but the difference is this guy can actually defend. The amount of last-ditch tackles, like he got spun, I think, in the first 5 minutes by Bernardo. I think it was Bernardo, and his boot came off. And after that, he put his boot back on, and after that, he was the best player on the pitch. Yeah, he was absolutely class. Wasn't much going forward, but I ain't really baffled. No, I ain't really bothered by that. Can you defend? Yes, you can. Can we go toe-to-toe with Man City? Probably not. So you have to make it bitty. You have to make it difficult. You have to rough them up a little bit. You have to make it stop, start. And that's how you beat City. Like, and listen, the game, the result of the game was 1-1. And it was probably a fair result because I don't think that they deserve to win. I don't think we deserve to win. Obviously, penalties, flip the coin. And it's luck of the draw, really, isn't it? I don't think anyone expected Kevin De Bruyne to spank his off the Pardo or for Ramsdale to even save another one. But listen, we've won it. I'm not getting carried away with it. Yeah, it's nice to beat Man City. It's nice to win at Wembley. It was nice that you were there to see it as well, Kenny. You know what Wembley's like. It's fantastic for Arsenal fans, especially with the FA Cup. But it's nice to actually start the season with a little bit of like, right, okay, we can, albeit they weren't on top form, but neither were we. And we did go toe-to-toe with them. It weren't a great watch. I couldn't care less. Yeah, if we go into a league game and it ends up like that, yeah, then I'll take it. Do you know what I mean? Like, one thing I will say is there's no penalties this weekend. So we have to make sure we finish our dinner if we lay him on a plate for Kai Havertz next week or this week, sorry. Jez, what did you make of it? I know you was in my watch-along quite a bit. And we obviously did the fan cams, but for anyone who hasn't seen the fan cam, what's your assessment of yesterday, mate, and who stood out for you?
Well, I thought Jurriën Timber was brilliant yesterday. I said, I think in my fan cam, to me, he's my man of the match. I think we've got an absolute gem of a player there. I totally agree with what you just said. Sadly, Tierney, I think, that doesn't suit him, trying to do this inverted crap. I saw the comment he made, I think, on one of your channels, where he said, I'm learning off Zinchenko. No. No. I think if Timber keeps performing like that, I think Zinchenko may have a problem getting in the side. I really do. The other thing I was very impressed with was Partey. Again, I know people have been saying we want to sell him. No, that's an absolute ludicrous thing we need to do. I thought the game was lackluster, but it's what I expected of a Community Shield. I've never yet seen many great Community Shield games. I discussed this. Only one Community Shield. In all the years I've been watching Arsenal, I've been to one, and we got piped 3-1 by Liverpool after we'd beaten Man United 3-2. You know, it's pre-season. Let's get it right. I don't think in any Community Shield, Kenny, you may disagree with me on this, that teams want to go all out because they don't want to get in the week before the season starts. That's a fact. And it proves one thing, Lee and Kenny, we need a bloody striker. Now, I got criticism yesterday for saying that Kai Havertz, he's not a striker. I'm not having a go at the man. I actually honestly believe there is a player in him. It's just a matter of will Arteta find that position? Because it worried me when we spent £65 million on a player and Arteta made that statement. I don't know where I'll play him. Crazy. That's crazy, man. We need a striker, Lee, Kenny, badly. I'm sorry, it's not personal, but Eddie, you've proved you are not levels to play Arsenal football. And I'm sorry, if we don't sell him, we've made a massive mistake. Balogun, I feel very sorry for that young man. I can't say a lot about him. I've never actually seen him play in real time. So if he has to go, That's very sad for me. I'm not going to get into the Kane debate because that is just a totally different story. But Havertz, mate, he's not a striker. And I think that's been one of the problems at Chelsea. He was played out of position. And we need to move on. I also would like to make this statement. With the fact we've now got Declan Rice, I think that could be a problem for Jorginho because he's not his level. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting start to the season. I'm looking forward to what that starting lineup will be against Nottingham Forest. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's a headache for Arteta now, which I think is good. He needs to have a headache. He needs to think, who am I going to play and where? Jurriën Timber, awesome purchase, and I think he'll be absolute class.
I agree, mate. Somebody just put a comment in a second ago saying it looks like he's played there his whole career. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, but this is the thing. Like, when you've got a player that's so technically sound and so comfortable in possession and reads the game extremely well, they don't need to be lightning quick. Yeah, because they're always in the right position, and that is exactly what he did yesterday. Yeah, his passing, his short passing was brilliant. Yeah, his reading of the game was superb. Yeah, I can't remember who it was that took a shot. They cut inside and whipped one, and he blocked it, and it went over for a corner, and then that's when Stones had the header, I think. But he's always in the right position, or he was. And listen, he's doing it up against the best team in Europe yesterday. Yeah. Even though they were subpar and we were subpar, it was still much of a muchness. We just weren't both levels, but we were both A level. Yeah, just not the level. So you still got to do it, and you have to give him credit for what he did yesterday. I thought he was absolutely class. Yeah. And this comment I wanted to read out as well. Havertz looked lost. Do you know what it is with Havertz, right? Somebody summed this up. I can't remember who it was, but they said that I think it was Yardman actually, and he said that he can't feel sorry for himself here, which is what he looks like he's done so far. Yesterday, he did a nice couple of little link ups, and he just he doesn't fill me with confidence. That's probably the best way to put it. It's like if he had smashed one of them shots in yesterday, all of a sudden he'd get his own confidence and he'd boost, and you never know, he might go on a streak. But it's almost like, well, he didn't press. He didn't do hardly any pressing yesterday, but maybe he was told not to press. Yeah, he's missed 2 good chances. A top striker bangs them in. And it's almost like, at one point he fell over in the middle of the pitch. And it's almost I don't even know what happened. He just fell over. Yeah, and it's almost like he is feeling sorry for himself. Yeah, and he's always had that languid, Ozil-esque, like walking around the pitch style. Yeah, and like Berbatov used to have it as well. The difference is Berbatov was just levels. But I want to see this geezer actually go, right, I'm going to have it. I'm going to prove I deserve to play here, and I want to be the man. Yeah, and he has to start being more ruthless. Like he went up for a header. I can't remember whether it was Stones or Diaz. I can't remember who it was actually. I think it was Kyle Walker. Was it Kyle Walker? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, he went up for a header with someone. He didn't. It's like, mate, you didn't even try. Like you're 6'4", and you give an elbow, barge into someone, make yourself known. Do you know what I mean? And we need to see a performance out of him. If he's going to start against Forest, he needs to bag. Yeah, because that might kick him on, and it might give him the confidence, and it might actually, all of us that are doubting him, I'm fully doubting him. I can't stand this geezer. But if he starts producing the goods, then I eat my words and I say, wow, okay, cool. And that's all I want him to do. I don't think he will, but that's now down to him. It's big money. He's on big wages and it's big pressure. I know he's played for Chelsea and they've been the most successful club for the last 2 decades, and he scored in the final to win them the biggest prize. But you're not at Chelsea anymore, mate. And now it's a different type of pressure. 20 years without a title. Yeah, you better deliver now. You're the guy. Yeah, you're the main man now because Jesus is out. So he has to deliver. But what do you think, Kenny? Do you like? Obviously, you've seen a lot of strikers come and go through this football club. We've had some crap ones over the years, mate. We could sit and do a whole podcast about the crap ones. Yeah, we could also do on the flip side a whole podcast about all the great ones. But what do you think of him?
Well, the thing is, when you talk about strikers, we find it. Remember, we haven't really replaced Henry. We got close to replacing him in Van Persie and Adebayor. But Adebayor went off the ball after the second season, and then he was asked to leave and told if he didn't, he'll be playing as good as playing with the youths. and he'd be banished to reserves. Van Persie, you know, was a player we thought we replaced Henry with, and then he was ambitious and left. So we've always seen it a bit of a graveyard at our football club in terms of strikers. And even before Henry and Ian Wright, you know, and Alan Smith, we probably had some good ones, like, you know, Tony Woodcock was a nice striker, you know, we had for us in the 80s. Paul Mariner wasn't too bad, but all in all, you know, probably Malcolm McDonald, and he'd done his knee. So Arsenal's probably been a graveyard for strikers. But in terms of Havertz and in that position, it was an open goal. You have to say it was an open goal. The reason why I say it's an open goal is because Jesus got injured. So, you know, do you play do you play Trossard on the basis of his performances, or do you play your £65 million man and think right, I've got to fit in my team somewhere? Yes, he's probably not the striker I want, but he is a striker that, you know, that we need, and we know that he's played that position. We're not saying we can play that position, but he played that position at Chelsea, and I think that's where the situation is. But again, if there was a player who needs to know his teammates, that's Havertz. You know, we moves about Declan Rice, but Declan Rice has got a bit. He's played in our league, he's played in the league, so he's a sort of player can work out himself. Obviously, he's used to playing DM, but Thomas Partey's better in that position, so he needs to sort of learn and think, right, my manager and my team need me up the field. Kai Havertz is an interesting one, but from what I saw, the link, he's always going to have a good first touch. He's always going to be able to hold it up because of his size. But in terms of, like, as a player, not a chance is he going to be the long-term striker. And yeah, he did look like he felt sorry for himself, because there were times when he wasn't getting possession because City were dominating the ball. You know what I mean? So in that respect, it's one of those things where if you're going to get a bad performance in, you might as well get it in the Community Shield, and then when it comes to Nottingham Forest next week, it could be a different kettle of fish. Nottingham Forest is not as good as Man City. They're going to have a go, but if we score early, their confidence will go, and they think, you know what, we'll save ourselves for our next home game where crowd's going to be on our side and the atmosphere is going to be, you know, to our liking. But I agree with you. I agree with Jez. Long term, no way. Get a striker in, spend the money. You know that regardless of whether Jesus is fit enough, the best you're getting is 15 goals a season. That's not going to win you the league. You're going to need another 15 from, you know, Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka. Whilst Man City got 52 goals out of Haaland. That's the holy grail. That is the level now. That is the barometer which you need to win the league. It's always been the case, but you know, I think with the sort of how you say it, split strikers or false number nines, we kind of forgot that until they got Haaland, and then they won the lot. So it says that if Arsenal want to win the league and win every competition going, get a striker in. You know, lose your obsession of getting a right winger to cover Bukayo Saka, and focus your obsession on getting a striker. You get a striker in, and he's half as good as Haaland, we can win this league comfortably.
Totally agree.
Totally agree.
Totally agree. I want to, before I come to you, Jez, I want to read this out from Hazrin. Big up to 720 in the building. Make sure you are smashing the likes up. Yeah, there's nowhere near enough. I am live with Henry in 25 minutes on his channel. Make sure you sub to JEZ'S. They're very close to 4K. Link in the description, people. And follow Kenny on Instagram. I've heard this question come out quite a lot. Who is out there as options for strikers? There's loads of strikers. Ivan Toney is available.
I was just going to say it.
Yeah, and the thing is, everyone keeps waffling that he's banned. Whoop-he-do. Yeah, whoop-he-do. Like, this ain't a dig at the guy who's put the comment in. I'm just saying. Yeah, Ivan Toney is available, and Ivan Toney can train, apparently, from next month.
Yeah.
You know, apparently he's allowed to train from next month. So why not go and get him? And we could have got him for about the same price as Havertz. He'll guarantee you goals. He'll guarantee you a different output in terms of he's strong, he's physical, he's a nuisance. He'll run his nuts off down the channels. Yeah, we're not going to go and get Harry Kane. As much as I want him, we ain't getting him. But if we were serious, we'd go and get him, or at least put an offer on the table. Yeah, Ivan Toney, that would be the second choice. Mitrovic is available. Yeah, unless he's signed for a Saudi club yet. Yeah, Ollie Watkins, people will laugh at Ollie Watkins. The guy bags goals, and he's having a great pre-season so far. He works his nuts off. He can run the channels. Yeah, Balogun, why not give him a go? You know, there's plenty of Ferguson from Brighton as well. That's a great shout. Yeah, he's not the elite striker. Oh, Mitrovic did go to Saudi. There we go. Well, we can't get him then. But there's plenty of strikers out there that we can get. This notion that there's no strikers, and Vlahovic is another one. Yeah, as much as I don't want this geezer, and I will literally not do a live stream on Arsenal if we sign him, Lukaku is available.
Yes.
But there is plenty of strikers, and this notion that the striker pool is so tiny and thin. No, it's not. There is plenty of strikers out there. The problem is there's no striker that, when people ask that question, there's just, it's not one that stands out that's a sexy name. Yeah, Ramos has just signed from Benfica to PSG. Yeah, we could have got him. Yeah, we were looking at him last summer. So there's plenty of striker. Mbappe's available, exactly. Yeah, Mawani's available. There's plenty of players out there. And I'm not saying that these players are all great. Jonathan David, another one. See, the chat's real. Yeah, there's plenty of strikers. I'm not saying I'd take all of them, because after the ones I've named, I wouldn't have anywhere near the club. But there is strikers out there. And let's be real with this. Every single one of them will have a better output than Eddie Nketiah.
Yes.
Yeah, every single one of them is most likely going to have a better output than Kai Havertz. So there is strikers out there that we can buy. Yeah, I just think that we're missing a trick, mate. And I agree with you, Kenny. When you look at the best teams in the world, or in Europe, should I say, in the last X amount of years, yeah, Man City have got Haaland now. They had Aguero before that. Yeah, Man United have just signed a striker, but they had Zlatan. Yeah, they had Ronaldo. Yeah, when you look at Liverpool, they've got Nunes now. Yes, okay, they had Firmino before, but he was there. The other two were strikers, really inverted strikers. Yeah. When you look at Barcelona, they've got Lewandowski now. Yeah, Real Madrid had Benzema. There's always that focal point up front. Yeah, when we were really great, we had Henry. Yeah, do you know what I mean? We had Percy, Adebayor, you mentioned them. Yeah, you know, the top tier Tottenham, they've got Kane. You know, these players can bag you titles. I know Kane's not won anything, and like people are laugh, but all them other players that I've mentioned have won stuff. Yeah, and they have been the focal point up front. And if you go and get a top striker that will guarantee you 20, 25, 30 goals a season, instantly, yeah, you're in a title race. Instantly, you're in a title race. If we signed Ivan Toney and no one else, I think we win the title. Yeah, even though he ain't coming in until January to start games, because if you think about it, the group stage will be done by Christmas. Yeah, well, we should get out of our group because we're in pot 2 now. Yeah, the FA Cup won't kick in until January. Yeah, and we're apparently this great that surely we can see ourselves up till Christmas in the League Cup and the League and the Champions League group stages, surely. And then you get a brand new lease of life with the striker coming in. But listen, people don't want to do it. The reason I think that is because one of their favourites is getting dropped. Yeah, let's just be real with it. Martinelli's getting dropped, or Havertz will be dropped, or Trossard again, or Jesus will be dropped. Jesus is never going to bag us 25 goals in a season.
See, these fans are selfish. These fans care more about their favourite player than they care about the progress of the football club. Like, you only have to look at the hysteria and the way some people are going on about the prospect of Aaron Ramsdale being replaced by Raya. All I'm hearing about is how Aaron Ramsdale's a nice guy and how his dad's lovely and his brother's lovely. Okay.
Yeah, what's that got to do with winning titles?
What's that got to do with winning the title? I mean, not too funny. If my memory serves me right, we were talking about Raya when he was at Brentford, when he was playing in those the playoff final against, when they played Fulham. That's when Fulham beat them and managed to pick them to the Premier League in, to 21-22 season. Then we were still talking about Raya when he was at Brentford, when they finally got into the Premiership. We were talking about Anana before he failed his drug test at Ajax. So it's not as if Mick Arteta's, changed his, kind of a preference for a goalkeeper who's great with his feet, just like his mate Pep Guardiola. So just because we've got Ramsdale and he's British, he loves being here, he's a lovely lad, he makes great saves. It's not going to kind of, how to say it, put the masking tape or put the plaster over the fact that he's not great with his feet. Yet fans don't want it to happen because they love Aaron Ramsdale. We can't replace Martinelli.
Emotionally attached to paid employees.
Yeah, Martinelli, because he's exciting. But they won't. Martinelli's exciting. He's going to cook. He's going to be great in a few years' time. That's brilliant. But if there's something better than him, fine. I'm of the volition that if there's something better in your position and that can get you to that situation where you can win the league, and then if you win it, you keep on retaining it, then that's football. Football's a dog world, and Arsenal fans need to learn that. The minute they learn that, we might be a successful club again. But if we keep on, having people who are attached to players and attached to people who are nice to them on YouTube or whatever you want to call it, then we have problems. But thankfully, it's not their opinion doesn't count, and hopefully the manager realises this that we're in a business, and football's about business.
Me and Jez were talking about this. You've just led me on to a great point, because me and Jez were talking about this backstage yesterday before player ratings. The manager does get it. Yeah, he does. Yeah, the fact that he even contemplated quitting in the summer, tells you that he thought he failed, which he did. Yeah, but he's now come out and said, I thought about quitting. Yeah, I thought I couldn't take this club any further. I've sat myself down, I've toyed with the idea of quitting, blah, blah, blah. You've got to give him credit for saying that, because he didn't have to tell anyone that. And I genuinely don't think that's just PR. No. I'll call PR out all day long, and I'll call the crap out all day long. I think he's done that to put pressure on himself this season. Yeah, and we were talking about this last night, Jez, and he's got a lot of pressure on him now, because he's played for the club, he's captained the club to a trophy, the FA Cup. He's bottled the top four, he's bottled the title race. He's now gone out there, been given another load of money, got the players he wants in. Havertz is definitely his signing. Timber's definitely his signing. The goalkeeper is going to be his signing. Rice is definitely his signing. Yes, he probably didn't want Xhaka to go, but he didn't stand in his way. He ain't holding him against his will and getting a crap season out of him. Cool, you want to leave? Leave. Yeah, but I do rate him for coming out and saying that. But did you think, Jez, that the thing is, with our fans, there's a lot of them that won't put any pressure on him at all because they're emotionally attached to him. Yeah, but same with the players. But do you think that obviously he does get it, but do you think that now's the time he thinks he has to deliver? And if he doesn't, do you think he'll walk at the end of the season?
Yeah, I do. I think the fact he's been totally open and honest, and I totally agree with you, it's not PR. It obviously affected him mentally, which is a good thing, because I think now he's going to man up and say, right, come on, boys, we've really got to go for this, and we've really got to challenge for everything in every competition. And I think maybe he will, and I hope he does. Now, we all know I'm not a supporter of him, but I'll always support a manager if he succeeds, as I have in history. We've had some average managers that have gone on to win success, and you support them. Can we do better? Yes, we can. And I just want to bring this point up. I mean, Ivan Toney, right? Yeah, okay, can't play till January. Now, we all know that January becomes a very difficult time in football, right? I think it'd be great if we could get him for a decent price, right? It would be ideal. He can come in, he's going to be training, he's going to be fit, might not be match sharp, but he's the sort of player we can bring in at that point of the season and kick us on. Because I just want to say this, Lee, if we had a striker come in last January, right, after the World Cup, I think we would have won the league. We were there. We are almost over the line. But we didn't get that killer instinct. We didn't get the man we needed. And unfortunately, because of injuries to JEZ'S, Saliba, it cost us. And we need to do that. We need a striker. There's no question. It's imperative we get a striker. And I got berated on one of my shows the other week about criticising Eddie Nketiah. I've watched enough of this young man to see he hasn't got the quality. It's not personal. I've never met him. I never will meet him. But I watch football. I've watched football for a bloody long time. And I think I've got a clue about when it comes to who's good and who's bad. I mean, when I was a young little kid, we brought in I've got his name now, it's gone. The next George Best. We bought him from
Peter Marinello.
Yeah. That's right. And yeah, I mean, I watched him 4 or 5 games into that season. You can see, never. And a lot of people blamed it on the press at the time, bigging him up to be the next Jules Best, which was unfair. He was never that level. But the fact is, we need a bloody striker. We will not win the Champions League or the Premier League without a proven bloody striker. Yeah. And they are out there. Why not Yao Felix? Why not him?
Mate, he's linked to Saudi today.
Why? He's a
It's
young
amazing
man.
how Barca keep buying players when apparently they're skint, isn't it?
Well,
Apparently they're bankrupt. They've got no money. They can't register players, but they've bought about 25 players in 2 seasons.
That's a panorama documentary on its own, Barcelona. You can have part 1, 2, 3, 4. You can probably have 10 parts, and you still wouldn't get the bottom of what Barcelona are up to.
Yeah, get Jeremy Paxman on the case, mate.
he's one we could swoop up. I know he went on loan to Chelsea, and it wasn't brilliant. But I think, personally, I've always said this: when players go on loan, right, it's not the same as actually being owned by the club. If you get my understanding, once you're owned by the club, you have to give full commitment. When you're on loan, right, and this is one of the reasons why I think Eddie Nketiah didn't succeed at Leeds United. I don't think he wanted to be there.
Yes.
Respect. He didn't do it 100%, and therefore he never got in the sodding team. Because if you're a loanee player at training and you're thinking, I don't really want to be here, right, and the manager sees that lack of attention is maybe the right word, I don't know. He's thinking, don't think he's going to make the team this week. And it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. And at the end of the day, we were called him back, if I'm right in saying that. But there are strikers out there, man. Go and get Ivan Toney. All right, he can't play till January, but he's a quality player. He's Premier League proven, right? Get him, and we'll get him cheap. I think.
And he bagged more league goals than Rashford, who was hyped up into oblivion last season.
Yeah,
and he did it at Brentford. Yeah, let's be real. With all due respect, they're not great. They were mid-table last season. Yeah, and not only that, he was banned for the last how many games?
Yeah,
and he still bagged 20-odd league goals. So, listen, I think if you put him in, I think he'd be ideal at Chelsea. I think he's so good, man. But for Chelsea, I think he fits Pochettino so much more than he fits us. But if he comes into Arsenal, 60, 70 million quid, you're guaranteed an output. You're guaranteed a different. So somebody to be a nuisance up front, like, you know, when you're being put under pressure by a Liverpool, a Man City, a Chelsea, whoever, you can just have that out ball and you know it's sticking. It's not coming straight back again. He'll run, he'll work his nuts off. He's strong, he's physical. Yeah, cool as a cucumber in the penalty box, scores penalties, free kicks. Yeah, he's a top player, mate. Yeah, like top player, and he could take us levels, man. But I don't think Arteta's going to do it, mate. And I don't see us winning the title unless we get a striker. I really don't. Yeah, I think that we've got to hope that Saka hits the level he did last season and gets 15, 16 goals. Got to hope Odegaard does it again. Got to hope Martinelli does it again. Trossard coming in again. Now we've got to hope Havertz does it. There's a lot of hope going on here. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And we know that Haaland is doing it. Yeah, and if you add up all them players I just said and how many goals they're getting, Haaland's going to get about the same. That's just one player. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing.
And that's the difference. Now adding Kevin De Bruyne, now adding Jack Grealish, now adding Foden, now adding Alvarez. Yeah, all of a sudden, I know we only scored a few goals less than them last season, but if you go through all competitions, like, mate, they're going to blow everyone away again unless we go and get a striker. I just see them walking the title. I really do. Like, it's mad. Even though they've got rid of Mahrez, they've got rid of Gundogan. Yeah,
that's the thing. That was the overwhelming opinion or prediction with a lot of fans on the way to the game, in the talks at Wembley, in the fan parks as well. We all want higher standards, but we just look at Man City and we think, well, how can you stop them winning the title? That even the odd time in the best bits of quality did come from them. You look at the players that came off the bench were they didn't lessen the quality of the team when they came on, and that's the thing. The problem a lot of teams have got with when it comes to playing Man City or competing with them is that the level between the substitute and the starter is nothing. There isn't a gap. There isn't a gap that you can think of. Normally when you get a substitute on, or someone reserves, there's a definite gap of quality, and you kind of accept and expect that, and hence the fact that some teams are not successful as others. But with Man City, they tend to not have that situation, which means you've got to shake Pep's hand, because keeping quality players happy who won't get games, who don't get games, I always say that's a test of success. I always say that the most important players are actually the players who don't play, because they're the difference between creating a harmonious atmosphere or having an acrimonious atmosphere, because they're the ones who have to push the first team players in training. They're the ones who have to, like I said, be up for it and gearing up. And I think the key to doing that is that if you go up to them and say, you're not going to play every game, but you're going to play that game.
Yeah.
And by the time that game comes, if you keep your promise, you got them. Managers who don't keep their promises lose players. Like you have to look at what Man United.
Last season, you've absolutely hit the nail on the head, right? Riyad Mahrez scored 15 goals in all competitions. Yeah. And everyone goes, oh, he was on the bench most of the season. He appeared in 47 games. He just didn't start every game. Yeah, he didn't start every game. Yeah, he was sat on the bench for Champions League quarters and semis. Yeah, and then he gets thrown into an FA Cup semi-final after not playing for weeks and weeks when, let's be real, the 2 seasons before Haaland rocked up, he was their top scorer. And now he's benched. Yeah, then he plays in FA Cup semi and bags a hat-trick. Next week, benched. Yeah, and that is what a top manager does. Yeah, look at Foden, look at Grealish, look at all these players. He had Kevin De Bruyne on the bench yesterday. And this is the difference. When I looked at our bench yesterday, I said it, when I see the team come out, I was like, that's exactly the same bench as last season.
You have to look at Sterling. Why was Sterling bombed out? Sterling wasn't bombed out because he wasn't a threat to harmony. It's just that his quality, from the levels he was at previously, his levels just went down a bit, just a tiny bit, but a bit that we all noticed it. And if we noticed it, then the managers noticed it, which means there was beginning to be a gap between him and the player. And that's why he said, right, I'm going to get someone else in. And that would prove to be the right decision. But you have to look at what happens when you don't have harmony. Look what happened with Dean Henderson. He was promised a run in the side. Solskjaer couldn't give it to him. That's it. You've lost him. You can't have him at the football club now, because he's going to be like a bad egg, because he was lied to. And I think that's the thing with man management. You, by all means, have people around a squad. But if you promise them that match, you give them that match.
Yeah. You have to promise. The thing is, when you've got a squad that is as good as City's, I see a lot of people that say, "Oh, we need bench fillers, we need squad fillers." No, we don't. We need players that are better than our starting 11. Yeah. Then you've got a Man City scenario where you've got every single player is good enough to start football matches for that club. Yeah. Now it's down to you as a manager, to utilize that squad. And when you're playing 4 competitions, which we are, and which Man City are, you sit them all down at the start of the season individually or collectively or whatever, and just say, listen, you're not all going to start every week. Yeah, you are going to be rotated, but we're good enough to go deep in every competition. We want to stay we've obviously got 38 league games. We obviously want to get to cup finals and stuff like that. We're going to play about 60, 65 games this season. You're not going to play every week Gabriel Martinelli. You're not going to play every week Saka. You're not going to play every week Rice. Yeah, Jorginho. All these other players, Saliba, and that is why Pep is the best manager out there, because he tells his players that. How many times have we seen Man City have Haaland on the bench?
Yeah,
like last season. How many times did he score a couple of goals and he subbed him? And it's like he's probably sitting there thinking, "Well, hang on, I want to get my hat trick here." Yeah, but he understands the bigger picture. Yeah, because he's got a manager that he believes in and he knows will keep his word. Yeah, and look what happens. They win a treble. When we look at us, we've got a manager that I don't genuinely think he knows his best 11 right now. Yeah, which is why he's
No way.
a lot of things.
No way. No way does that manager know his best 11. There's absolutely no way. He's for simple reasons that you got to. What I said to you yesterday is, and linked him to what you said, Jez, as well today about the manager having doubts about himself. He should have doubts. How my theme is when I spoke to you on Saturday, and I spoke to you in our interview yesterday, Lee. How unlucky can a manager be? He was unlucky last season when we didn't get a top 4. He was unlucky when we went in the league. Is he? How are we going to tolerate him being unlucky this season coming? And he's got to have those thoughts. I'm so glad that he came out himself and said, "You know what? I was thinking of retiring," because that will shut up a lot of these idiots. And there are idiots who are saying, "How can you say we didn't bottle the league? You're idiots." Because when your manager says
exactly,
that makes you look stupid. All you journalists backing us and saying, "Oh yeah, how dare you say that?" Arsenal bottled the league, or saying that we're all fatties who eat pizzas and swill beer like that ghastly woman.
Cheers, guys.
Go and speak to Arteta. Go and speak to Arteta. Have a word with Odegaard, because that's the whole situation. He's not satisfied. As much as we have to look at Kieran Tierney. We were talking about a future England captain. Sorry, future Arsenal captain. He's Scottish. Future Arsenal captain there. Look what's happened there.
It worked for Declan Rice switching from Ireland, mate.
No. Kieran's kissing a Scottish badge. He means it, not like Declan Rice kissing the Irish badge.
Didn't Grealish do the same? Grealish did the same as well, didn't he?
Well, Grealish used to play, like I said, Gaelic football in the Birmingham leagues, and his cousin played for England, but she's now switched to Ireland. His cousin. Aoife Mannion. So, there's a lot of people who don't know what they want. But mind you, there's a Nigerian international who played for the women who used to play for England. So, it's one of those things. But in saying that about Kieran, surplus requirements, doesn't rate him, doesn't think he can pass the ball well, doesn't think he keeps possession enough, thinks that he kicks the ball too long, he doesn't want that, can't play for me.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper now.
Go on, carry on, mate. Go on.
Yeah, but if you look at the goalkeeper there, they said that he finished. Was he 12th in terms of possession and playing with the ball at his feet? Distribution. 12th in terms of possession distribution. Well, for a top 4 goalkeeper or goalkeeper should be winning the league, that's pretty low, isn't it? 12th. Yeah. That means that's a red flag to Arteta.
On every single stat, and I'm not a stat person. I've got eyes. On every single stat, David Rice smashes him to pieces, mate. Literally every single one. Distribution.
Got up, Aaron. Got up, Aaron. If we sign Raya,
mate, I hope we do, because look, at the end of the day, the manager clearly does love the club. We get that. He's captained the club. The one thing I've always said about him, as much as I coat him off, he does get it. He does give a shit. But it's not just down to him as to whether he can be successful. If he wants Caicedo and we end up giving him Jorginho. Come on, there's levels here. He obviously wants Kai Havertz, that's on him. He wanted Zinchenko, but now he's thought, oh, hang on a minute, Timber's better than him. So now Timber's going to get games. He wants Jesus, but now he's brought in Kai Havertz. And it's even though I don't agree with the Kai Havertz signing, he's brought him in to compete with Jesus. And it's he's being ruthless, but at the same time, I think that yesterday when we see him subbing off our best player and a minute later we can see the goal, we see that at Old Trafford, mate. We got back in the game and he just carried on doing nothing. Why did it take 3 Man City subs before we made a sub yesterday? Because he's reactive, not proactive. We see at Newcastle when we played at home, 0-0, Eddie gets a chance straight at the keeper. If that's the top striker, we win the game, we get 2 points more. And it's little things like this, constantly putting faith in certain players. We know no matter what, Eddie Nketiah is always going to be coming off the bench. You know why? Because he listens, he says, yes, gaffer, no gaffer, 3 bags, full gaffer. He'll run his nuts off and he might get the odd tap in. And he'll chase down lost causes. Whereas somebody like Kieran Tierney, like you said, he's a kick and run, and a cross merchant. Yeah, but he can actually defend. But he's not very good with the ball at his feet in terms of keeping it ticking over. So if that's the case, get rid of him. Before we do wrap this up, because I am late for Henry's show, Jez, let me start with you. I want to ask about Smith Rowe, because I think we had this conversation about this time last year. Yeah. When he was injured, he's not injured. He's failed to impress me. I can't lie. In all the games I've seen throughout this preseason, he had a great Euros for the kids, the reserves, like the England reserves or kids or whatever you want to call them. They ended up winning it, I think. He was fantastic in that, but he is flattered to deceive, mate, in these preseason games. And he's way, way, way down the pecking order for me. He ain't getting in the left wing over any of our players. Yeah, he ain't getting in midfield over Odegaard.
No.
Do you think that we could? Do you think we could get rid of him? Do you think he's somebody that we would let go this summer before the window shuts?
I think so, mate. I think he's dropped off. I had great hopes for him. Sadly, he had some great games, but he hasn't made the top level. And I think it's time to offload him to another team. We're not going to loan him out. We're not in that game right now for him. I think we should sell him. And if we sold him for some decent money, then let's go in for a striker. I still say, mate, I'm adamant. I'm sorry, we ain't going to win jack shit unless we get a striker. Now, we've had this discussion last year, and it's all out there, isn't it? We get Champions League. We're going to attract world class. Well, you tell me one world class player we have signed. No.
The last world class player we signed was Kieran Tierney, and that was under Unai.
So, I said this to you last season on here on my own shows. To attract world class players, it's not about the money. Arsenal Football Club have money. They've proved it this summer, right? If they want to release the money, they'll release it. A lot of the difference is who wants to play for the manager. And I've seen people in your chat here tonight, which is great comments, about going in for Mbappe. Excellent. He wouldn't come and play for Arteta.
I don't think Arteta would want him because he's a diva. Yeah, he's somebody that's going to say, no, boss, I ain't doing that. I want to play here. Yeah, and Arteta wants nice guys.
Yes.
He's going to come in and totally disrupt that dressing room from the nice vibes because he's going to come in and say, no, bollocks, I ain't doing that. I'm playing up front, mate, and I'm playing every game.
Well, he probably wouldn't like the dog. But you know what I mean? You have to have a manager that attracts. Arsene Wenger did. He had the inside track to the
give him that, yeah.
Great French players, right, that we brought in at the time. And we also had a management structure in Sir Peter Hillwood and David Dean that had that way to be able to attract players. I'm sorry, Mr. Edu, you don't. It's all right you signing these young lads from Brazil. You're just not the same level, my friend. And,
not respected. That's the problem. David Dean and Peter Hillwood, they were respected. Wenger was respected. Yeah, Arteta's making his way. Yeah, and I do think, like I said, I do think he cares, and I do think the players that we have want to play for him, or most of them. Yeah, maybe not all of them, but most of them do. But I think when we go to boardroom, mate, we're so far behind what we used to be. It's insane, mate. Yeah, and we ain't got that pull. Yeah, we can go and pay the money, like you said, but we can't go to, I don't know. I'll give you an example. When we signed Vieira, AC Milan, we're going there, bang, 3.5 million. Yeah, I know there's inflation and all that, but that's like going to, I don't know, that's like going and getting Osimhen right now from Napoli. They've just won a title. Yeah, we're having your best striker, mate. Yeah, and I know Vieira wasn't probably necessarily their best midfielder, but you knew he was going to be class, and they knew he was going to be class. But to get him, it was like, bang, we're doing it. Look at when we signed Bergkamp, for example. That's probably the best example.
Yeah.
But guys, the common denominator is that you have to have good contacts. You know, the person who had the best contacts in world football, in the 80s and 90s was David Dean. You you know, maybe the person at the club we haven't replaced isn't a striker, isn't a goalie. It's David Dean.
Yeah.
In terms of like a negotiator, he was the best in the business. He had so many contacts. He was every committee. Was it FA committee, UEFA committee, FIFA committee?
Yeah.
Premier. Yeah. So that's a guy. You know, maybe people like Fishman, God bless his soul, and Hillwood, God bless his soul, must have thought of that about it, instead of putting thinking about their egos about, he's trying to get a hostile takeover, blah blah. To be honest, which he did, because you think about it, you know, if he got rid of you godforsaken men, we could be still cooking. We'd be cooking by now.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. We are going to wrap this up, people. I'm live with Henry. It's going to throw you the link straight away as soon as I end the show. It'll throw you straight to Henry's stream. They've just rejected 100 million euros for Harry Kane from Bayern Munich. Mm-hmm. So this show with Henry is going to be decent. But and they've signed a couple of players. They spanked Shakhtar 5-1 yesterday as well. The club shop, by the way, the queue for their club shop. So I follow a DJ or an MC on Insta, and he was at the game, and he literally walked with his phone, and it was just a sea. It was just a queue all the way round the corner for that club shop, mate. Yeah, unbelievable. They've won nothing for 15 years, and that club shop is rammed. Crazy. But Jez, what you got coming up, mate?
Tomorrow night, I'm on the Longhead Yeti show. Who's in the chat? We're not talking about football. It's talking about something completely different. Wednesday night, it's the Back to the Weekly podcast with Kenny Ken. I've got early doors football coming in. West Ham fan, top fella, going to sub to him. And so it's all good. And I'm thinking about doing more content, Lee, getting it out there a bit more, doing some different chats and things like that. And then I think it's Friday night. I'm on with the American Idiot Show with TJ and Dow and Connor. Man, it's great to be back. I've loved this tonight. Thank you, bro.
Same, man. Thank you, man. I've enjoyed it as well. Kenny, what you got coming up, man? I know.
Well, obviously, I'm with JEZ'S on Wednesday. JEZ'S on Wednesday, but apart from that, I've got not much coming up. You know, I've because right now I've got the absolute hump with Dillian White's finding. Like I said, he got an adverse finding, and that spoilt my fun.
Has he been eating Conor Benn's eggs?
I don't know what happened, but I'm not happy with him. I'm not happy with his team. I'm not happy with his carelessness. Whether he was innocent or not, one thing you were was careless.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%, mate. Yeah, I totally agree, mate. Listen, I'm going live right now. As soon as I end this stream, it'll throw you straight into Henry's stream. Go and spam it with, I don't know, race cars or something, or I don't know what else, microphones, because they have concerts and all that at their ground, didn't they? Or a boxing glove. Yeah, they do everything other than football at that stadium. It's great. But I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm live with Rants, 2 p.m. UK time on here. Straight after that, 3:30, I'm on with Fluers. That's always entertaining, watching all the weirdos in his chat, chatting crap to me. So come and join in on that one. I will have a video out later on Lee Reacts as well about Harry Kane, the bid being rejected. So that'll be out a little bit later on, about 9 o'clock UK time. So, yeah, man, big up to everyone inside. It's been good. First show back. And we do it all over again next week. After we've hopefully spanked Nottingham Forest, which would be nice.
I've got 59 subs to go to make the 4K. So I'm getting
Come on, sub to JEZ'S channel right now.
On.
Links in the description.
Sub to JEZ'S channel.
Right, we're out of here, people. Adios. Ciao.